everyone, today I'm here to review a book for you. Today I will be talking about One Dark Throw by Kendare Blake, or Kendare Blake. I should probably know that by now. If you don't know about One Dark Throw, it is the sequel to Three Dark Crowns. Let's just talk about these covers because how freaking beautiful these covers are. Dark Crowns came out last year and I quickly fell in love with it. This is definitely one I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. I actually got the chance to interview Kendare at Y'all Fest, so definitely check that out if you want to see. She talks about more about where she got the inspiration for Three Dark Crowns, and she was just an amazing person in general to talk to, so I love her. So I was very, very excited for One Dark Throw. So in this video, I'm going to tell you quickly what this whole series is about without spoiling it, and then I will go into some spoilers, but I will warn you in advance before I do so. So in Three Dark Crowns, we follow three sisters that were separated at a very, very young age, and the reason for that is because each generation the queen gives birth to triplets, and they all have different powers, and they get separated at a young age, like I said, to different parts of this island, pretty much a Fenbur, and they each have different powers. And at the age of 16, this whole year when they turn 16, it is a fight to the death. Whoever is left standing is going to be the next queen and will carry on the duties of having, picking a king consort, having triplets and things like that. So that's the whole gist of this story. It's a very dark fantasy, I'd say. It's also very matriarchal, where the women are in power, which is amazing to read about. It's also about these three sisters that are learning their powers and learning that they're gonna have to kill, their other sisters to one of them to be queen. And I really, really enjoyed it. If you haven't read Three Dark Crowns, I would say that the first half of this book is very, very slow. A lot of groundwork, like all fantasy books, needs to be laid before we get to the real nitty-gritty amazingness of the story. It is kind of hard to follow because we have so many different characters in this book, but I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, there's three sisters, so I'm going to tell you quickly about them. So we have Catherine, who is a poisoner, and a poisoner can pretty much ingest any poison ever and not have any consequences from it. Like, they can drink snake's poison and be like, that was great breakfast, and have no problems with it. We also have Arsino, I think that's how you say it. Arsino, who is a naturalist who is very, very familiar with nature and animals, and she's supposed to have a familiar with animal that's kind of paired to her that she really feels kindred to. She's supposed to help things grow. And then we have Mirabella, who is a elemental who can really control the wind and the elements and lightning and things of that nature. The only problem is two of these sisters do not have the powers. Mirabella has her elemental power. She's great with it. Catherine can really not ingest any poisons and not feel any problems. She feels problems. And Arsino is also not a naturalist. So we have that going on, and that's pretty much what the whole book is about. Just know that there's three sisters fight to the death to become queen. That's all you need to know about this series. I definitely would recommend it to read it also in this time. Such an atmospheric book. It gives you that dark fantasy vibes that is perfect to read in October. I gave Three Dark Crowns a 4 out of 5. I gave One Dark Throne 4.75 out of 5. So to go show you, I really enjoyed the second one much more than the first one, even though I enjoyed the first one a ton. So that's all I need to know about Three Dark Crowns. It's such an amazing book. It's been getting a lot of buzz lately because of the sequel, obviously, with good reason, because I love that it's all about females being in power, and it's kind of a darker, grittier fantasy book, which is awesome. One Dark Throne, I loved. I complained that Three Dark Crowns was a little bit slow. The first half took a lot to get into. This book picks up right after the events of Three Dark Crowns, and it hits the ground running. There's never a dull moment in this book. I feel like the last quarter of it was really, really intense. So many things happened at once. It was amazing, but there was never a point in this book where I thought it was going too slow. There was too many things that they had to build up, because we already know the people and the land and the power system and things like that. So she could just get right on into the action, and she definitely did. So I can't say anything else without spoiling it for you, other than I thought the sequel was amazing. I gave it a 4.6. I might give it a 5. I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. There's my feelings without spoiling it, because there's a lot of spoilers to talk about, because obviously a lot happened at the end of Three Dark Crowns, and a lot happened in the whole plot of One Dark Throne. So if you haven't read One Dark Throne, please don't watch any further. I don't want to spoil you. And yeah, come back when you have read it so we can talk about it more. But either way, definitely pick up this series. So great to read during October. Must read. I read that one. I read Three Dark Crowns in October, and I read this one at the very tail end of September. perfect timing. So yeah, spoiler time now. At the end of Three Dark Crowns, we learn that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have such a hard time saying her name. Arsenault, is that how you say her name? I'm gonna just call her A. And that A is actually a poisoner, so it's like her and Catherine have been kind of mixed up. They both went into like the wrong like places. So Catherine had sent her a box of chocolates, that little sneaky Catherine girl, and A ate them and had no problem with it. Jules almost died. But we learned that she is a poisoner, which begs me to wonder if Catherine is really a naturalist. Like, I don't know, because they didn't really talk about that in the book. Did they really get switched up? Because it would make sense if A was a poisoner and Catherine was a naturalist. So many things happen in this book. At the end of this book, we learn that Catherine is crowned queen, which would make me super happy, like in the first book, because I was kind of really into Catherine's storyline. But this book, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. In the first book, like I said, Catherine was my favorite queen. Not because I thought that she would be like the best queen of all, because I found her storyline most interesting. I really loved the whole poison ingesting, and they would have a freaking feast with all these poisonous things like scorpions and snake juice and belladonna and stuff like that, and they would just drink it like it's nothing. I found her storyline interesting, where I felt the other two queen stories were kind of lackluster. In this book, Catherine's storyline was interesting, but not as interesting as the other two girls' stories. And Catherine had such a dark turn in this book. She was already kind of a dark character, because I feel like all poisoners are, but you know, at the end of the last book, she got pushed into the Brecca domain, and she came out of it different. Like, she came out of it evil. Like, she said so many times, you cannot kill what is already dead. So you're like, is this chick dead? Like, does she die in that pit? And they just like put her back up there undead, which is, I don't think that's what happened. She says in the book, because when Peter goes into the domain himself to see what he did to Catherine, which there's like all these queens that have pretty much been left there, and I think they put their power and strength into Catherine, and like they're using her to like get all their revenge on or something. So I don't know. Let me know if you know exactly what that whole deal is about, because that was freaking interesting. Her whole storyline of like she said so many times, you can't kill who's already dead. And she even had a thing where she like cut like her face. Like, chick was crazy, but I loved it. The fact that she got crowned queen is like, like what? And then she killed her husband, like, because she had so much poison in her, because she was ingesting poison like non-stop in this book, even though her body couldn't really handle it, and she was just freaking oozing toxins and killed her husband. It's like, what? I mean, I don't really care. That guy was kind of a jerk anyway, but still, like, what? That was, I mean, everybody's storyline was so interesting in this book. Also, I was not a huge fan of oh gosh, A. In the first book, I found her to be the underdog, which I really enjoyed, but I didn't like love her. But in this book, I came out loving her. She is such a strong, kick-butt female that really cares for her friends and family, and just is amazing. I loved her storyline in this book. How she had Braddock the bear, and I loved that she was like learning her poisoner powers. I feel like she could have used them a little bit more in this book, but overall, like, I really enjoyed her storyline. I thought that was, and freaking, what's his name? Billy. I don't think anybody like really cared about Billy in the first book. This book, you're like team Billy. I love Billy. He was so amazing in this book. Ugh. Also, Mirabella. Mirabella was kind of an interesting part in the first book. Like I said, the storyline that intrigued me the most was definitely Catherine's in the first book, but I also enjoyed Mirabella's story in One Dark Throne. And she is just a very caring character. She really learned in the first book that she doesn't want to kill her sister. She doesn't want to do that at all. And in this book, she kind of has her doubts about, you know, that as well, because like attacking her, setting her bear on her, but we know that's not what really happened. She learns, obviously, that's not what happened, and she wants to just really have a relationship with her sisters and not be so, like, not take this killing thing. And by the end of the book, her and A are quickly fleeing, like, out of Fenburn to go to the mainland, so what the heck's gonna happen for that? I also learned in this book that Jules is Legion cursed, has the war gift, like, she can, like, control things with her mind, and when she gets angry, like, don't get near her. Also, Joseph dies, which I didn't really care about, honestly. Like, I love Jules and Camden. Joseph, I don't know, it was give or take. But either way, he dies. So Jules does not end up going with them to the mainland. She decides to go off to people that'll help her with her war gift and things like that. So I found that interesting. So we have a whole bunch of things that are going to happen in the next book. Which, by the way, there's going to be 4 books. I thought this was only going to be a duology. There's 4 books. So we have now Catherine is the Queen. What the hell? It's going to be scary. Natalia, Billy's dad killed her. What's going to happen with that? There's so many open ends. You know, we have 2 queens that are on the mainland now that want nothing to do with kind of, you know, killing well, I don't know, they want to kill Catherine because she needs to be taken down a few pegs. Like, that girl's crazy. But I mean, things have happened to her. Things have happened to everybody in this book. Ugh. Either way, this is probably the worst review ever because I literally wrote no notes before filming this, so I apologize. Either way, I loved One Dark Throne. I thought it was a great sequel. It was definitely much more interesting than the first book. I just, so friggin' good. So, like I said, I give this book almost a close 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So, if you've read One Dark Throne, what are your feelings? Who's your favorite queen? Right now, it's like Kendare writes like, so you don't have a favorite because you're rooting for them all in different ways. Like, as much as it is that Catherine's evil, she is freaking interesting to read about. Like, I get excited when I get to read about her chapters. So it's like I'm not quite Team Catherine. And then we have, I also love Mirabella and I also love Arso. I forget that. Forget that pronunciation of the names. They're all amazing, so it's hard to choose which one is your favorite, especially after the second one, because all of their stories are so compelling and intriguing. So if you have a favorite queen, let me know, because I would love to know which one's your favorite and which storyline you found most interesting. And yeah, sorry for the long, rambly, really fast, probably talking review. I just had a lot to say about this book and I really enjoyed it overall. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.